Do we have any other requests to speak
Not on, well,
for 3.3? I'd like to, yes. I'd like to defer to our county council for a moment. A lot's been embellished about my statement, certainly, and about the restrictions that have been placed upon people that want to rightfully protest. So, sir, you gave your time up already, I believe, to a speaker. So
because he asked for 9 minutes, and
you gave him your time. You are
somebody else was supposed to give. I believe Patricia Curtis gave him his time, or gave him 3 minutes as well.
I have Graham Berry, who is given 3 minutes by you, sir. So you've already.
I did, but I assume because he only had 6 minutes, he should have had 9 minutes.
I'm sorry, you've already given up your time, so you will not be speaking today. I've asked County Council to show a map. Since this is directed to the Church of Scientology, I believe in religious freedom. This pertains to many instances other than the Church of Scientology, but since the Church of Scientology certainly has been the focus by many speakers, we want to show you that you still have ample ability to protest. And this, again, is directed towards residential property. So, County Council.
Thank you, Chairman. I would just like to clarify that the peaceful protesting is a activity that's protected by the First Amendment. And this ordinance isn't designed to prohibit general protesting. It is designed to prohibit targeted residential picketing, and that is because these ordinances are narrowly tailored to protect the peace and tranquility of people in their homes. The targeted residential picketing has to occur by proceeding in front of or around the residence. And I do have a map. I'm not too good with the Elmo system, but we'll go ahead and try and put it up. Okay, I'd just like to point out, and this is kind of backwards, but the residential area in
Pam, get the hand mic. Give her the hand.
Portable mic right there, Pam, in front of you, straight ahead.
Thank you. All right. The residential area for Scientology is located in this area and in this area. And in order to be violative of our ordinance, you would have to target the residence and be proceeding in front of and around that residence. It's a very narrow ordinance, and it's designed that way to sustain and to protect First Amendment rights.
Supervisor Wilson.
Pam, could you get back down there and point out the entrance to me?
I understand that the entrance is located in this area, and around the entrance and to the east, there are not generally residences in that area. So I think that should clarify to a large extent what this ordinance is designed to do and what it's designed to protect.
Yes.
It's designed to protect residential tranquility,
Pam,
not to prohibit general protesting.
Pam, that was my understanding. Targeted residences, the intent of this ordinance. I was called last week by a reporter for the Los Angeles Times who said he was out at the entrance with a handful, 3 or 4 protesters, and that the moment they showed up, Scientology called the sheriff. A number of sheriff's cars arrived and broke up the protest. Our ordinance did not cause that, or did our ordinance cause that?
I don't believe that our ordinance would have caused that. For example, if they're trespassing on private property, if they're blocking ingress and egress, I heard that there may be firearm use out there, those kinds of things. I don't know if it's true or not, but those kinds of things are regulated by the penal code, and those kinds of things can be enforced. Our ordinances is limited to targeted residential picketing, and that's very narrowly construed and defined by our ordinance as targeting a residence and proceeding around and in front of that residence.
So let me understand, it doesn't really apply. It doesn't even apply to the whole Scientologist, to this particular dispute.
It doesn't apply to a general protest that doesn't target a residence.
Then why are we drafting this ordinance if we have a dispute that we're trying to draft it for and it doesn't even apply in this instance?
We understood that it was going to be, they were targeting residences at the time, and that this would possibly apply. One of the speakers brought up a good point. This is kind of a mixed use out there. You don't have one. I mean, are we treating the entire property in this case as a residence because there happen to be dormitories or other types of residence on it? I'm not even sure what's on there. Or, as you pointed out there, are we defining this ordinance? Are we interpreting residence to mean the individual living locations, whether they're dormitories, apartments, or property owned or owned by some other institution, nonprofit, residences on a particular piece of property? That would be the latter, the individual residences on a particular piece of property.
Well, let me just suggest that is very confusing, and people would not be able to look beyond the walls or a fence to be able to tell, or even if the property were open, you would not be able to tell if there were residents or where those residents were or which building constituted residence. Don't we want, when we're dealing with the Constitution, don't we want to make things simple as possible, and particularly for people who come from without the county, who have a right to carry their constitutional rights across county lines, indeed across state lines, if they want to, and come and picket? How are they supposed to know what an ordinance like this, that's drawn in the way that it's drawn, what it means?
It's defined that they have to be proceeding in front of or around a residence, and that it has to be targeted at that residence. There's several different jurisdictions that have implemented it. The Ninth Circuit has upheld it. The district courts have upheld it. And it is written in a way that I believe can be clear in terms of the targeting of that particular residence. But I do agree, First Amendment does protect general protesting, and that is why we intend to clarify what exactly this ordinance means. That's what we're doing today.
So what's the need for this ordinance if it does not apply to this case?